Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. Today is December 6th. Things are moving rather rapidly in Iraq. We've got a lot to discuss here today. Ordinarily, I like to sort of go through all of the new information over the course of the week, put it together, and present it in a kind of an organized fashion. There's just too much going on, so basically I've been reduced to a series of bullet points that I'm going to discuss, and I'm going to move quickly through this call, frankly, because we're getting blown up over here with requests for trusts, questions about existing trusts, other documentation, all of that. So I've got to kind of stay on top of that because, again, the calls are coming in fast and furious, which to me is another indication that people that have been sort of following this for some length of time see that we're kind of in uncharted waters and we're heading in a direction where this long ride is mercifully about to come to an end. At least that's our opinion. If you're calling in for the first time and you like the things we are discussing here, I would hope that you would just click the subscribe button and listen to our calls on a weekly basis. But I hopefully anticipate that these calls won't be going on much longer, not because I don't enjoy them and enjoy the interaction with those of you kind enough to listen, but I think we're all ready to go to the bank and do all of the things that we've been thinking about, some of us for some length of time. So I'm just going to play it by ear on how long this call is going to continue. As I'm speaking, my phone's already beeping. People are trying to call me right now, so that can be a little bit of an interruption, but I'm going to go ahead and move forward anyway. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and these other currencies. We're not advocating either the sale or purchase of these currencies, but it's rather substantial currency holders ourselves. We're sharing with you the information we believe to be most relevant. I'm looking right now at a potential window for the reinstitution of the dinar sometime in January. I'll get into the reasons for that, although I'm getting contacts from a lot of people saying, well, I'm listening to Guru X, Y, or Z, and they're saying that the dinar should reinstitute in country before the new year. That's entirely possible. I don't think that will happen, but again, it is entirely possible. I don't hope that happens. And the reason I say that is, as I've discussed on so many occasions, we want to see a reinstitution and revaluation early in the quarter so that we don't have an exchange and a tax issue to deal with. We have a revaluation in January. We don't have to worry about taxes until April. Whereas if we have a revaluation in December, we have a tax issue to deal with on January 15th, and that just doesn't give us sufficient time to hold the currency to allow it to appreciate to its fullest or to ascertain what the actual tax implications of the revaluation are, both inside and outside of the trust. But it is what it is. If the revaluation happens on December 31st, we have a plan, but it's going to unfortunately have to move very, very quickly and very decisively. But let's go ahead and get into the stuff I want to discuss today. What I basically want to do is review the progress in Iraq and other interested international parties over the last year. And I'm just going to run through these bullet points and talk about them in their context. First, we have the passage of a 3-year budget in Iraq, which, of course, has been an unprecedented event. I think the reason they wanted a 3-year budget is because they have something similar to the Marshall Plan in mind, meaning the rebuilding of Europe after World War II. They have a lot that they want to accomplish, and they want an uninterrupted 3-year budget in order to do that. And, of course, the expenditures in that budget have to do with multiple international contracts for the rebuilding of their electric grid, their water system, their roads, and cities. The truth of the matter is that there isn't sufficient USD in their reserve, even though they have somewhere between 115 and 120 million USD, that doesn't come anywhere close to funding their budget or these international contracts. Now, that's good news because that means their only solution, plausible solution, would be to revalue their currency to give it value internationally so they can utilize that currency to fund all of this. Now, yes, I guess you could make the argument that they once again are going to drop the ball, but the difference now is that they're a failed state if they do so because they have obligations both domestically and in terms of international contracts that they have to meet. I said this, I think it was last week, I said Iraq now is traveling down a one-lane, one-way street. They can't stop and they can't turn around. They've got to complete what they've started. So that's good news. Of course, they now have a law effective on January 1st of 2024. The IQD is the sole legal tender in Iraq. Now, that means a couple of other things, too. It means by necessity, the currency auctions are going to stop permanently, and they will no longer be operating under a multiple currency system. They will have one currency, their own sovereign currency. They're also in the process of securing their airports and their borders. They put Turkey and Iran on notice regarding the pilfering that's taken place. And now these countries are going to be subject to all of the import-export laws and taxes. So once again, they've painted themselves in a corner. They must proceed. The CBI has been very active, too. As a matter of fact, they've had a recent meeting in country with the National Payment Council. In my opinion, this has to do with the implementation of the HCL and the Social Security Retirement Program. These payments have to be made to the citizens directly to their accounts, and they have to be made in dinar. The ATMs right now are been shut down temporarily, in my opinion, for a number of reasons. A couple of which are the installation of the new category small notes and also to stop the flow of foreign currencies into the country. Why? Because effective on January 1st of 2024, the only legal tender in country will be the dinar. CBI's also had meetings with Dubai. There are two meetings. The first meeting had to do with monitoring the progress of the monetary reforms in country in Iraq. And, of course, all of the attendees are very interested in this. The CBI, United States Treasury, the IMF, World Trade Organization, Arab Monetary Fund. The second meeting discussing specifically the new exchange rate and how that's going to be implemented. Then, of course, we have the statements coming out of the media, and particularly statements of Soudani and Alak discussing openly the project to delete the zeros and their new sovereign currency. And, of course, the word sovereign is an important word because what they mean by sovereignty is that they will no longer be a sanctioned currency and that they will be operating both domestically and globally with their own currency. It's another reason why the electronic platform system and digital system for the banks is being reformed and implemented in order to accomplish all of the things that they want. I've been thinking about how to explain or give you an example of how they're able to pass a 3-year budget and all of their international contracts for their infrastructure when they don't have a currency that's out of a program rate and when they don't have sufficient USD reserve currencies to come anywhere close to funding all of this. The best example I can give you is, let's say hypothetically you want to sell your car. The car is currently in your garage. The garage door is shut. And you have a number of people interested in purchasing your car. And, of course, they're asking questions. What make is it? What year is it? What condition is it in? What's the mileage? What are the options that are on the car? How old are the tires? Even things like, well, what color is the car inside and out? Well, the only way you can consummate the sale at the best price, and these people are bidding on the price, since you can't let them see the car, is to stipulate all of this information for them, and that the deal is based upon everything you're telling them about this car turns out to be true. That's kind of the way it's working in Iraq. All of these contracts for the domestic rebuilding of the infrastructure, and then all of the international contracts for everything else that they're negotiating, make absolutely no sense. The people negotiating these contracts aren't stupid. They know Iraq simply cannot write the check in USD. And frankly, the dollar is in a global tumble, or will be shortly, because of all of the printing here domestically. So these people must, the only plausible explanation as far as I'm concerned is they're operating with an undisclosed, assumptive minimum new exchange rate. And the reason I say minimum is because whatever the assumptive new exchange rate is, it's only going to go up from there. So that's where we find ourselves now. That's why they can't continue to operate with a multiple currency system. They don't have sufficient USD currency, despite the fact that they have the largest reserve currency they've ever had, to meet any of their obligations. Countries are lining up to sign contracts to involve themselves in Iraq, whether it's, again, rebuilding the infrastructure, or in the case, let's say, of China, which is a major player, completion of the Silk Road Initiative, and of course the gateway between East and West is Iraq, because of where they're located geographically, geopolitically, what's involved, all of these things. So, again, we're running down that one-way street, Iraq. They can't stop. They can't turn around. If they attempt to do either, they are a failed state. So I think that our long ride is just about over. Again, while we obviously want to go to the bank and get this over with, I for the reasons I've discussed ad nauseum, do not want to see the change in the exchange rate this month. I want to enjoy the holidays. I want it to happen, and I want to see it in the first part of certainly the first 6 weeks of the first quarter of 2024, hopefully in January. Again, that gives us lots of time to hold the currency and to allow it to appreciate. Also, to compel the IRS to confirm in writing what the tax status is. We can pay our taxes in an orderly fashion in April, rather than having the hysteria that would be involved in revaluation at the end of any given quarter, certainly the end of the year, here in January. So I think this is all good news. I think we've reached the point of no return. And the only thing left, of course, to discuss is the Family Asset Protection Trust plan that we've established for our clients, which we've been marketing, I guess, now for close to 15 years. I'm not even going to get into it today. I just don't have the time. And frankly, the number of people requesting trusts, it's all we can handle right now. I will suggest that if you are a new caller, you can go to our call of last week. I think that was the 29th of November, because that call does get into a much more detailed description of the trust package we have, the pricing, and all of that. The other thing you can do is you can contact us by email or phone if you'd like to get our initial no-obligation package. You're under no obligation by receiving that package. It does contain everything you need if you wish to proceed, but you're under no obligation to do so. If you decide to proceed, again, everything you need is in the package. Now, our email address is trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC at gmail.com. Again, that's trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC at gmail.com. And our phone service is 307-274-4122. Contact us by email or phone. We'll get our initial package out to you. It's got everything you need if you wish to proceed. has a lot of information about us, about the trusts, about the currencies, etc. You can review the package. Contact us if you have any questions. We'll be happy to assist you. But I'm not going to get into it beyond that because I have so many people I need to contact already. It just wouldn't be fair to them and to you to make this line any longer, because as soon as I get off this call, I got to get right back on the phone and right back to the emails to get this stuff out. I personally think you're running out of time to put your trust in force and get your affairs in order pre-RV. So you're on your own. If you decide that you don't even want to investigate the necessity of establishing a family asset protection trust, that, of course, is your right. The only other thing I will mention is the clown show running this country right now. These kleptocrats are making life extremely difficult for the American citizen, who basically at this point only wants to be left alone. More regulation, more taxes, more complications. And the trust package, whether you have currencies or not, is an excellent way to circumvent all of that nonsense. The other thing I'll mention is the possibility of the central bank digital currency. Looks like that's not going to pass, at least not for the time being, because the Republicans in the House aren't going to allow it. That's a good thing. But there are states that are establishing state digital currencies. That may be a way that we can circumvent the central bank digital currency if it should ever pass. And, of course, by establishing all of this through your trust, you're protecting your privacy, your asset protection, and there are additional tax benefits available to you by establishing a family asset protection trust package. Again, that information is available to those of you that will contact us to get our initial no-obligation package. I'm sorry this is a shorter call. I really do enjoy our Q&A and talking to individuals, but there's just too many people that have contacted us that have waited long enough to hear back whether they want their initial package or have other technical questions. And so the only thing that we can do at this point in time is service the people that have contacted us and postpone beyond this call marketing the trust package. Now, when the dinar reinstitutes in country, of course, we will not be marketing the trust at all, and our weekly calls will deal with the exchange process, taxes, investments, and all of the other post-RV issues. So that's all we have for today. Thanks so much for listening to the call. Again, if you've called for the first time and you like the things we've discussed or you're interested in our package, I strongly suggest you subscribe to our weekly calls, and contact us by email or phone if you'd like to get our initial no-obligation package. A lot of good information in there for you. Our next call will be scheduled for next week. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for listening, and things are really, really looking good. And this long ride, it looks like, may finally be coming to an end. Have a great week, everyone, and thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.